I'm on the second week of a course about why the Bible was written. And I came across this spark about city water supply. And it says the city's water supply was always the first thing that a besieging army would target in order to really expedite the capitulation of the city. That reminded me of something that I took a note on in the first week that I wanted to make that connection. One of the systems I really like using for that is OneDrive. OneDrive, because you can search inside of documents. You can't do that with Google Drive. So I remember that the water reference was something like, all about the water. So if I search that, I get back a whole bunch of stuff. But if I go ahead and put that in quotes, it's going to look inside the documents and find exactly the document where that phrase is. So I can open up that document and I can search for that exact phrase again. And there it is. And when I'm taking notes, I like to take the notes that I am thinking, like my actual thoughts. I like to put those in orange. That way I know that that was something I was thinking versus something that I got from somewhere else. For example, I was doing images from ChatGPT to go into a wisdom poster. Now, when it is a response from ChatGPT, generally, I like to put it in this color so that I know that that was something that was generated by AI. And another thing is taking the prompt that you use for different images and things to actually be included as well. See, I put that in that color just to remind me that that was the prompt that I gave. So this was the transcript. Wow, I really went off into a tangent here. But oh boy. Okay, let's go all the way back up. So the lecturer in the course was talking along, and this was his transcript. Well, he started saying this. His famous son, 728 to 698, BC, of course. And it showed a picture of a coin that was from King Ahaz. Now we say Ahaz. If you look on his coin here, it looks like Ahaz. But anyway, King Ahaz. And Hezekiah was his son. And Hezekiah did what was right in the sight of the Lord. I started thinking here about these dates and how different authors and different scholars will have different dates. And so I needed to create a standard for the way that I reference the dates because many scholars have many ways of creating their timelines. So I decided, and I documented it, that my scripture standard was going to be the timeline from the book, what the Old Testament authors really care about. Now, I'm going to create my own version of this timeline, but I really love the way this is laid out. So he was talking about King Ahaz, and here is King Ahaz here, and this was Hezekiah. Well, this scholar says that Hezekiah ruled from 729 to 6. You probably can't see that. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Maybe if I make it 300. Okay. So there. Hezekiah 729 to 686. And what's so neat about this particular graphic is that it shows the prophets that were in play during the particular time of the king. So all of the kings and prophets in the southern kingdom are below this blue line, and the kings and prophet in the northern kingdom, also called Israel, was here above this blue line. So we have the northern kingdom, also called Israel, above this line, and we have the southern kingdom, also called Judah, below this timeline. And I just really like the way this is laid out. I created the scripture standard, And that was great. And then I was able to make this connection to water here by looking up the document on OneDrive. And it was here. And this is what I said about water in week 1. It's all about the water. Throughout history, major centers of civilization emerged around reliable water sources. For example, the Nile, the River Nile in Egypt, or the Tigris and the Euphrates for the region of ancient Iraq, which is called Mesopotamia, which literally means the land between the rivers. So I'm going to take this reference and add it to the reference I had here, just so I can have them connected. There we go. And this doesn't need to be a heading 1. Probably I would, let's go ahead and make it a heading 3. Something like that. Still looks like heading 1 though. So that means when I go up to update my table of contents, let's see how that plays out. And let's make this a little smaller. Zoom to maybe 150. Okay, that's good. Rabbit hole. See, I went down the rabbit hole right here. But I'm coming back out now. Coming back out of the rabbit hole. And that's my reference about the water. So that is me connecting those dots. I try to use only tools that meet some suitability tests. I want everything to be documented, repeatable, measurable, searchable, scalable, and possible. For this exercise, the point of suitability that OneDrive is meeting definitely is searchable. Being able to look inside of documents is not so great when you think about a privacy perspective, but there's good and bad and pros and cons to everything. And we don't store things online that are super sensitive, right? Right. The other thing I like for searches is logos. And what logos has note. So if I think I made this note about water, war benefits. No. The note I was talking about, what was it? From week 1. Here it is. This one was a week 1 thing that sent me down a rabbit hole. And I like to note what the thing was that sent me down the rabbit hole. So if I search for rabbit hole, all of my rabbit hole things will come up. So these are a note for that. And all of these notes here, you can search within all of them to find keywords. And you can also add tags to them. So if I wanted to add a tag to this note, then I can do that. And that becomes searchable in these filters for those notes. So any way you think about things, you can organize your notes and documentation so you can find it again. So Logos is a really good tool to do that, especially when you're starting from a biblical theme or something that is attached to something that you can find in the Bible. So, and for me, a lot of times that is exactly what we are attempting to do. In the pursuit of information and knowledge, this was just like a poster about wisdom and seeking wisdom and just seeking knowledge and information. So that's what I'm doing with just taking this course is I'm just expanding my knowledge base. And when you find those connections, it's good to be able to figure out where you wrote it and a way to search it. And in this case, I'm talking about OneDrive. That's really good for that. Another good tool for that is Notion. Notion can serve as an entire workspace for all of your information. And so this is a project, it's actually a public webpage, polkanotion.com. In this project here, with which Notion can make a website, I'm explaining that in my current season, that one of the things on my list of things to do is to become a certified Notion consultant, because I really love the way it can organize information. It can organize what you do. It can give you a framework for accomplishing everything. So in this picture here, I talk about the 3 buckets: the person, the word, and the money. And the person and the word and the money come from my life project plan. Okay. My life project plan starts on the top level, which is the word, the person, and the money. And everything else flows under there. And all of the things that are under those 3 buckets can fall into one of these 8 silos. So if I'm doing something and I can't make it align with something that I have decided will make me happy, it is kind of like my baseline for things. Like, where does what I'm doing fit into my world? And it keeps me on a path of being productive in the way that I'd like to be. So that is Polka Notion. Polka Notion is a new project. And I say in here that just like the word is a single source of truth for our lives, Notion is a single source of truth for the life project information. And I really loved this picture for showing that idea. So if you happen to visit this page, you see that it's kind of funny that I used 2 forms here, because I am a workflow and workspace consultant. And so I try to use all of the tools that are popular so I know what works best together as I am integrating systems. So for this particular thing, Notion is new to me and I'm just getting started in the certification program. And there were 2 forms I used here. One was from ConvertKit and the other one was from High Level. And for some reason, I'm not quite sure why it's really slow. Maybe I didn't implement it right. But I put them both there because I'm still testing. This is kind of like my test ground. So these are just things I'm doing in pursuit of this knowledge. And I am mentioning the OneDrive and Notion as ways to organize information so you can easily find it again. This was just a bigger picture of the life project and the silos, which were these things. They can fall within any bucket. I cut off my 8, my offer system over there, faith system, leverage, money, health, focus. So everything that I'm doing has to fall in one of these to make sure that I am following the plan that I have for me. If you zoom out, there is a lot of information in this thing here. That is me making sure I incorporate everything. So when I get ready to do different projects, or I take on a new client, or I have a decision to make, these are the things I consult, so that I am consulting myself. I am consulting my desires. I am consulting what I believe is my royal assignment to make sure that I am on track. But this was just me talking about going through, being able to search the things that you write while you are gathering knowledge in order to build understanding, create understanding, and be able to apply that knowledge. Fear the Lord, of course, is number 1. Seek knowledge, seek to understand, pray for wisdom, apply knowledge, experience, and seeking counsel. While we are doing those things, you want to document what you are finding and experiencing. Some people do that through journaling. Some people do that in vision boards. I like to take notes. So if you're a note taker, then you want to put your notes somewhere that you can easily search. If you want to be able to search things, you really have to put it in a repository that is searchable to the level that you can find things and connect those dots.